I feel like it makes the Olympics a joke. I really do. I mean, if the Olympics is, the best in competition of amateur athletics, how can you get rid of the oldest sport and the sport that, the Olympics were founded on? I mean, it's two sports, running and wrestling. That's what, the ancient Olympics started, the modern Olympics started. I think everybody expects those sports to be in the Olympics.
Wrestling of all the sports is all-inclusive around the world. Over 200 nations have wrestling. So it's not a pocket sport where you have, a few countries that really are into it. This is the world. Certainly, when you're a sport, you want to see your sport included in the Olympics. That's prime time. You get on television, it's advertised. It makes the parents understand it's not quite the WWF, and this is a different style of wrestling. It's different. I'm not sure about what immediate impact it'll have, but certainly it's of importance. I mean, for your sport to be recognized in the Olympics is very, very important, and to lose that is very, very important.
The Olympic sports should be a venue and the blackboard for sports that are competitive and that are not corrupted by professionalism, and and it shouldn't be something that somebody can make up in their backyard and say, hey, let's teach people in China how to do this so we can have it in the Olympics.
You can be big, you can be tall, you can be short, you can be fat, you can be skinny, you can be male, you can be female, you can be handicapped, it's all inclusive. It's the most inclusive sport in the world. And we have had in the state of Delaware blind state champions. We've had state champions with amputees. We've had national champions that were amputees. A wheelchair athlete can wrestle. They don't wrestle in their wheelchair. They hop out, they get on the mat, and they wrestle against a totally physical wrestler. It's an amazing thing to see. Wrestling is the only sport where you're going to see that happen, at a high level.
When I started wrestling, that was my dream. I went to I went to wrestling camps, going to clinics with guys that were Olympic gold medalists, and I idolized them. I didn't idolize professional athletes. I wanted to be like the guys that won the Olympics.
Most of your high school wrestlers aspire to the NCAA, and that's where they're looking to go next. Now, that's where, when you get the guys at that level, their aspirations are the Olympics, and that's where they get their fame. That's where they make, if they're going to try to make a living out of it, it's going to be coming from there. Or a lot of NCAA champion type wrestlers go on to the NFL. People aren't aware, like Ray Lewis, who just was a state champion in Miami. You don't have guys like Roddy White. There's been guys like Mike Golick. Mike Golick talks about it on ESPN News all the time about what the relationship of wrestling and football was. There's been wrestlers who've never played a down of high school football and have gone on to the NFL. How
the Olympic Committee's decision is going to affect college programs, I can't predict. I just hope that there's a disconnect between what is Title IX and the effects of Title IX and the Olympic sports.
I've had wrestling state champions go to Cornell and go to Harvard. Harvard's very big in wrestling, and so is Cornell, and so is Penn. They're probably the three top Ivy schools that compete. Like I said, top 20 in the country, and they've had national champions, and they compete at a high level. Those kind of guys, usually the work ethic that a wrestler has and translates very well into the workplace. It's not the kind of sport that the kids that are flunking off.
Right.
I know I never had that problem as a coach. Most of my guys were very good students.
My kids were asking me on the way home, from the state duels. They said, Coach, because they heard about it too. They were like, Coach, does this mean that wrestling's going to disappear? And I looked at them. I said, there's no way that wrestling will disappear. It might not be in the Olympics. It might not be in the Olympics, one day, but why did you guys get involved in wrestling? You didn't get involved in wrestling because ultimately you were going to win a gold medal down the line. You got involved in wrestling because you felt like it told you something about yourself and about who you are. I'd hate to see that turn, although we see it in Delaware already. How many college wrestling programs are there in Delaware? There's 0. When Delaware State dropped their program, I had athletes that wrestled for me that were there. at that time. Delaware dropped their program about 20 years ago. I fear for my kids. I have, state champions, returning state champions, who want to stay close to home. Because of that, when they go to college, they've already turned off their wrestling career. I feel like wrestling is the most pure of any sports. It's not corrupted by politics. It's not corrupted by professionalism. Whereas you have, what are they? They're adding golf, and the golf pros have to they're going to have to take two weeks out of their career where they're making millions of dollars to go try to win a medal that's meaningless to them.
If I had to make a guess, and I would say this is probably about television. There's a bigger nationwide audience for golf than there is for wrestling, and when these executives at these networks are paying billions of dollars for the rights to the Olympics, they're also looking at what sports they're going to show and what sports they think people will watch, because it's all about the advertising, the sponsored dollars, and things like that.
The person that's not a wrestling fanatic should know and understand that this is the Olympic sport. This is it. This is, if the Olympics doesn't have wrestling, what does it have? And where is it?
The wrestling community's rallying. They're going to make their points. They'll rally their troops, so to speak, and they will make a strong presentation to the IOC in May, that's when the final decision is going to be made, and hopefully they can win the day. I do know that the National Wrestling Coach Association, the AAU, the various different governing bodies are all going to be, or right now, they're probably meeting right now, trying to formulate a game plan. Like I said, they got blindsided. That was the sad part about this, and okay, here we are in February. It doesn't happen until May. That's not a lot of time. That's not a lot of time and that's where I think everybody was a little disappointed. They weren't given some note of, hey, we're thinking and give you a chance to. And here it is now. Boom. Put your plan together, put it in action, and get it all done. At least the wrestling community has a couple months to tell their story and start moving. Whereas before here, it's kind of bad when all of a sudden somebody you go, well, we didn't even get a chance to present our case. And I think of any sport, we have a fairly strong case. We were in the original Olympic Games, the ancient Olympic Games, one of the very first sports. We also have been in the Olympic Games ever since 1896 when the modern games started. This is going to take a worldwide effort. And I think there are countries, I'll be shocked, like the Soviet Union, like I said, Iran, and Turkey, Japan, and China. I mean, I think these will be, it'll be global. And that's where it's going to have to come from. I mean, I wish I could say, our local fans here could do something. I'm sure, other than letters and expressing, concerns like that, I don't really know too much what you can do.
They're on that mat in your singlet with nothing else there. It's like I think one pundit put it. You walk out in the middle of an arena in your underwear in front of 1,000 people, and your character's on the line more than anything, and it tells you something deep about yourself.